Welcome to This Explainer. We're diving straight into what is gearing up to be, quite literally, the most highly anticipated financial event of the decade. Elon Musk's SpaceX is prepping for a public offering that could completely rewrite the record books. If you've been following the financial news at all lately, you know the buzz around this is absolutely deafening right now.
It's the absolute biggest question on everyone's mind, isn't it? From everyday retail investors constantly checking their brokerage apps to the top-tier analysts on Wall Street, everyone is asking, is this space giant the next generational wealth opportunity, or is all this hype just inflating a really dangerous market bubble? I mean, we're talking about a company that revolutionized reusable rockets, built the entire Starlink internet network, continuously partners with NASA, and has these incredibly ambitious plans for Mars. The sheer scale of what they're doing makes this public offering completely unprecedented.
So, to separate the astronomical hype from the earthly reality, we're going to look at 1. The historic IPO filing. 2. Unpacking the massive valuation. 3. The big ambitions and bigger risks. 4. How and when to buy. And 5. The future market impact. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the historic IPO filing. For the longest time, the inner workings of this company were kind of like a closely guarded secret. But according to major reports from outlets like Reuters, Bloomberg, and Business Insider, they've officially filed their S-1 paperwork. That's the official documentation required by U.S. regulators to actually go public. And this is a massive milestone. It finally gives investors a real look under the hood at their true financial health, the staggering recurring revenues pulling in from Starlink, some pretty unexpected ambitions in AI infrastructure, and their vast plans for future expansion. To really wrap your head around the scale here, just look at Saudi Aramco. They're the current global record holder for the largest public listing in history. But analysts across the board are noting that this SpaceX debut could potentially surpass it, literally taking the crown for the single largest IPO in global financial history. It's a scale that's honestly almost hard to comprehend.
Moving on to part 2, unpacking the massive valuation.
You see, this really isn't just a rocket company anymore. That unprecedented valuation estimated by analysts is basically built on 4 overlapping pillars. First off, they absolutely dominate commercial space launches globally. Second, there's Starlink, which now reportedly serves millions of users worldwide and generates an enormous stream of recurring revenue. Third, according to Business Insider, they're expanding deep into AI, including orbital data centers and partnerships with Elon Musk's artificial intelligence venture, xAI. And finally, investors are betting heavily on future planetary infrastructure, including those upcoming Moon and Mars projects.
And if you want to understand exactly why Wall Street is so incredibly confident, just consider this number, 160. Reports indicate that SpaceX completed over 160 rocket launches in the year 2025 alone. That level of frequency and reliability in aerospace, that was considered total science fiction just a decade ago. It heavily underpins the confidence institutional investors have in their valuation.
Because they dominate so many overlapping sectors all at once, from commercial launches and military space contracts to satellite internet and AI infrastructure, excited investors are drawing some pretty staggering comparisons. Many in the financial world are literally calling them the NVIDIA of space, or even the Apple of the aerospace industry. Especially with their next-generation Starship rocket on the horizon, which is poised to completely transform satellite deployment, the comparisons to absolute tech titans are everywhere right now.
Which brings us to part 3, big ambitions, bigger risks.
Now, despite all that excitement and those record-breaking launch numbers, Business Insider reports a pretty sobering reality. The company has historically burned through billions of dollars. They've been losing staggering amounts of capital to aggressively fund their rapid expansion, build out that AI infrastructure, and develop highly experimental technologies. I mean, innovation at this kind of scale is just incredibly expensive. So analysts are warning about 5 critical hurdles here. For one, the valuation might already be priced for perfection, leaving virtually no room for error given their massive ongoing spending. For example, their highly experimental Starship development is absolutely necessary to launch enough Starlink satellites to actually turn a profit. So any failures or delays there could severely hurt investor confidence. Add in the complex geopolitical risks regarding U.S.-China tensions, military concerns, and satellite regulations, and naturally, whenever there's a market debut this popular, you can expect extreme stock volatility right out of the gate.
Okay, let's get into part 4, how and when to buy.
While SpaceX hasn't officially confirmed the final date or the exact trading time just yet, current reports point to a highly anticipated timeline in 2026. MarketWatch reports suggest the investor roadshow will kick off in early June. We can expect pricing to happen around June 11th, with the public listing on the Nasdaq exchange likely taking place on June 12th. Just for some context, most major U.S. IPOs begin trading between 9:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time.
But here's the catch, right? And it's a huge one for everyday investors. Because demand for this IPO is going to wildly outpace the supply of shares, meaning it'll be heavily oversubscribed, there's a major disparity in access. Large institutions, hedge funds, and wealthy private investors will likely grab all the early allocations. Meanwhile, retail investors using standard stock trading apps, brokers, or pension accounts are going to be forced to wait until the stock is officially live and trading on the public Nasdaq market.
And finally, Part 5, the future market impact.
This IPO is definitely not just an isolated company event. Investopedia notes that space-focused ETFs and satellite stocks are already rising on the excitement alone. Experts believe this listing will trigger a massive surge of investment across several broader sectors, including defense companies, semiconductor firms, and AI infrastructure providers. The ripple effect here is going to be felt across the entire tech and aerospace ecosystem.
Ultimately, impartial observers are pointing out a really fascinating divide here. Supporters believe this company is building the future of transportation, internet infrastructure, and honestly, humanity in space. Critics argue the valuation is dangerously inflated and expectations are totally unrealistic. But no matter which side you fall on, the reality is clear. This is no longer just about rockets. This public offering touches everything from global communications to defense technology to artificial intelligence. It truly is about the future economy itself.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question to consider as we wrap up this explainer. When you weigh the historic revenues against the billions in spending and that unprecedented scale against the earthly geopolitical risks, once trading officially begins on the Nasdaq, are you going to be eagerly buying in to own a piece of the final frontier? Or do you think this is a dangerous market bubble that you should stay far, far away from? It is going to be fascinating to watch unfold. Keep these facts in mind as the date approaches, and stay curious.